Next up for Saints is the visit to St Mary's of League Two side Grimsby, who overcame Luton Town in the previous round with what sounded like an aggressive and front-footed 3-0 win. I'm delighted to say that joining us to provide the inside view on the Mariners is Alex from the DN35 Podcast. Alex, thanks for checking into TSP this evening.
Bloody hell, lads, you keep it light, won't you? God.
Enjoyed it in the green room,
Jesus.
So, Grimsby are currently 16th.
Sounds like Dorking fans.
Grimsby are currently 16th in League Two after a 2-2 draw against top of the table Leyton Orient yesterday, Alex, and obviously enjoying a good FA Cup run this season as well. Tell us a little bit about 2022-23, how it's been going, a little bit about your team, and maybe some of the players. No one from Saints listens to this, so you don't need to worry. Any of the players that we might want to watch out for?
It's we came up a season too early. Anyone who was lucky enough to watch the playoff campaign know that we were pretty much a decent knockout team, which is why we probably find ourselves in the 5th round of the Cup. We beat Wrexham 5-4. We beat Notts County with a couple of minutes to go. They were still 1-0 up. And then we beat Solihull Moors, who have a player who's like 7'12" or something like that. And we beat him by running through him and knocking him unconscious, which was hilarious. Other than that, we've come up a season too early, and as such, we probably don't have everything in place, which is why we find ourselves in 16th. We're pretty decent against a team who want to have the ball. Anyone who puts 10 men behind the ball, and we're absolutely snookered. We really do struggle in breaking anyone down, which is why... Yeah, Drew. Well, that's a compliment and a half. If you guys are shitting it in a corner, going, "Oh, this is Grimsby."
We are, Alex.
Good. I like the idea that you're the the Simpson meme of "Stop, he's already dead."
Pretty much.
We're pretty decent when it's like that. So Luton gave us far too much respect. The FA Cup run has been pretty phenomenal, actually. I think the FA Cup treats us with disrespect. If we ever win that piece of tin, which this season, 3 games from Europe or whatever it is they keep singing, I would do what Sergio Ramos did and run it over with a bus. But we got Plymouth, who are the hardest team to get in the first round, running away with League One, smashed them 5-1. Then beat Cambridge, then beat Burton, then beat Luton. All these money making ties, and then we come to Southampton with all due disrespect, as everybody says. But it'll be nice. It's one of the few teams we haven't played in my living memory of supporting town.
I was 45 years. I was doing my research. 45 years.
Only Man United have been hiding away for longer.
Maybe you'll get them in the next round.
Yeah.
I saw there's about 4,000 of you coming down, isn't there? So obviously it's kind of captured the imagination. I mean, 500-mile round trip on a midweek is fair play.
There's not much to do in Grimsby, but in all honesty, we do travel really well. We take roughly 1,000 to most games because again, there's nothing to do. But 4,000 midweek. I mean, even I'm in Hampshire, so I'm pretty lucky compared to the rest of them. But the last train home from London to London is 10 o'clock at night, which even means then the exiles who are up that way are struggling as well. But it'll be interesting. There'll be 4,000 or so. They'll make a load of noise. Thank you for letting us bring in inflatable fish.
Yeah, we'll get on to him in a minute. Yeah,
thank you. Unlike Crystal Palace, who confiscated them all. It's good, and this is a nice little distraction, but it's definitely playing on the players' minds. There's been a few chances when you go, oh well, your head's not here yet. It's down on the south coast picking out furniture in IKEA and then going on to play you.
Yeah, and Glen, when the draw was made, quite a few expected it to be Saints and Nathan Jones against his old club Luton. Now, of course, neither of those factors are in play, Jones and or Luton. So, from a Saints point of view, what are you expecting from this game?
I'm expecting us to rest a few players because we haven't got a best first 11 as we've discussed, but we've got a number of players who are not playing at the moment. So in a 31-man squad, I think it is. So I imagine there'll be quite a few changed, and that won't be out of any disrespect to the opposition. I just think that's just the way it goes these days.
We made 6 changes for Man City as well, didn't we? So it's not it's not based on the oppo.
So we did kind of think when the draw came out that obviously at the time we'd already given up on Nathan Jones and thought he was hopeless. So we thought it might be the final nail in the coffin if he gets beaten by the Luton team that he keeps going on about. But it was a very impressive win by Grimsby against Luton. So yeah, fair play. And I have to admit, I forgot that you got promoted out of the National League last year. So it's a tremendous achievement by Grimsby to get this far. And if you were playing anyone else, I'd thoroughly want you to win.
And Steve, I can see Mark Richards has picked up on this as well. But we mentioned there about 45 years. Of course, there are links between the two clubs because when we won the FA Cup in 1976, our manager was Laurie McMenemy, who of course joined us from the Mariners. And there's been a few players that have played for both teams during that time. I saw the late and great Kevin Moore was one of them. Does it makes it a bit more? We've spoken about Crystal Palace, haven't we, a lot over the last few years in cups? Does it make it a little bit more interesting and fun when we come up against sides like Cambridge in the Carabao Cup earlier this season that we've not played, if ever, or years and years?
Yeah, it's a bit of a novelty factor. I think other than it being a midweek round, I think if you're playing away against these sort of sides, it's definitely a novelty because it's quite often a new ground for a lot of people. I fortunately went to Grimsby earlier in the season, saw a terrible 0-0 draw against Sutton.
That was the worst game of football I've ever seen.
It was garbage. Both teams lucky to get 0. You always, I think, if you're a team that's kind of, anywhere sort of mid-table-y downwards in the top flight, you always want kind of a home tie against a lower league opposition. Basically, the lowest you can possibly get away with, and the draw has kind of come up trumps for us there. But you've still got that nagging feeling of, oh God, it's going to be that horrible feeling when they come and do us on our own patch. I think if we were away, then I think you can kind of make certain allowances. Oh, it's a tight pitch and the atmosphere is going to be up and sort of causing us problems and all the sort of cup cliches come out of the book, don't they? But you would think that we should have too much quality, but at the end of the day, we've seen so often this season that we're prone to just not showing up on the day. And looking down Grimsby's results this season, both in cup and league. When they come up against the better sides, that's when they turn up and they get a result, and that's a concern, certainly. But we'll see.
Yeah, I can see for a fan base that's pretty broken at the moment, I can see lots of positive predictions about this game, so that's a good sign. But Alex, look, just before we get your match prediction, tell us a little bit about Harry Haddock then, because obviously it sounded like Saints were party poopers initially, and thankfully, in the interest of the crazy world we live in, they obviously have now decided that the inflatables can come in. And from what I understand, because I'm sure I read this somewhere recently, they've been quite a pivotal feature at a lot of your big games over the last few decades. Is that right?
Yeah, firstly, Kevin's brother Dave is our physio. So he'll be on the pitch. He is without a doubt the hardest man in the world. He never wears trousers. He will be wearing shorts, whatever the weather.
Jim Joyce was like that.
He's incredible. Yeah. But the Harry Haddock stuff is pretty interesting. It goes back to before my time when we played Wimbledon, when they were the so-called crazy gang, and they took them along then, and then they've come along in a couple of iterations every now and then. We tend to have these sort of weird trips where we went to Barnet. Unfortunately, some fan got kicked out of Forest Green, holding for the life of him, holding on with every sort of energy, every parting energy he had onto this inflatable football, and got kicked out while his face is going blue. It's an hilarious image. And then so we went, okay, well, the next game we'll take a load of inflatables. They came along. We won 3-1 against Barnet. I think the third goal was inflatable Zimmer frame assisted because the keeper got wrapped up in it.
Like the beach ball at Sunderland.
Yeah, exactly the same. And then a steward sued somebody for hitting him on the head with an inflatable shark. So they banned the inflatables again, which then we thought, well, we got drunk one night and we basically said, what's the stupidest, most irrelevant thing we could bring to a game that would then look hilarious that they turn it away? So we raised about £1,000 over 2 hours to buy a mariachi band. and took that along instead to Barnet, which was hilarious. But yeah, they come out every now and then. But I've got mine, but it's like, well, it's just it's not seen as often as we'd like to, because most people get drunk and then leave them in a bar or on a toilet somewhere. It'll be nice. They'll be there now. But it's like they weren't all there at Luton. It's only for you guys. You should
just turn up for the big games.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, come on then. Before you go, let's give us your score prediction for the match. Then, Alex, you can start us off, and then we'll always round everyone else. But how do you see the game going on Wednesday?
I think we'll do all right. I think it'll be quite tight. I think we'll win 3-2.
3-2, yeah, good. All right then, fair enough. Alfie, let's go with you. What do you reckon?
I think there'll be opportunities for a few players that haven't played much, so I'll go comfortable 2-0 win.
2-0 win. Glen?
I will refer back to our games where we've really struggled this year against Sheffield Wednesday and Lincoln, and I'll go for a narrow 2-1 win, having gone behind.
Before I come to you, Steve, that's exactly what I wrote down here. I put, obviously, we won't make easy work of it, so a nervy 2-1 win. I agree with you, Glenn. Steve, to wrap up this bit then, and before we leave Alex to enjoy his Sunday evening, what do you reckon?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. The gods will screw me over. The last train, as Alex rightly said, is back up to London is 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So of course it will go to penalties.
Does it go all the way this one, right? So there's no replay this time?
Yeah, no replays off of this. So extra time and penalties, even though it's a 7:15 kickoff, that will still probably cause me to miss the 10 o'clock train. So I'll be slumming it. Probably have to get my old man to come and pick me up and give me a lift home. So yeah, one all draw, and we'll sneak it on penalties.
Yeah, sneak it on penalties. Good stuff. All right. Well, Alex, thanks for joining us. And obviously, we wish you and Grimsby all the best for the rest of the season once Wednesday's out of the way, of course.
No problem. Pleasure to see you.
Lovely. All right. Nice one. Thank you.
Thanks,
that was Alex from the DN35 Grimsby Town podcast.